Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, breaking news, Beeville Mayor Brian Watson will remain as chief public defender following his arrest and indictment. Those details this evening.
A teen remains in the Victoria County Jail on 4 charges, including theft of a firearm.
And we bring you the latest in the race for District 30 representative. Reporter Adarius McCormick has this story.
Well, the storms are finally gone, and we are looking at really good sunshine for the next few days. In fact, I think you're going to like this weekend. We'll have more on that and take a look at what happened around the state coming up in just a moment.
And a former Victoria General making his major league debut with the Astros. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
Beeville Mayor Brian Watson will remain the chief public defender for the 4-county district. The oversight board of the Crossroads Public Defender Officer made that decision this afternoon. Watson was arrested and indicted last week. He is indicted on charges of misuse of official information. The 34-year-old Watson from Beeville will now start as chief public defender on May 6th. That district includes not only Victoria County, but Lavaca, Jackson, and Refugio counties. 25 News Now has learned Watson's annual salary was set at $160,000. The body of a 58-year-old woman from Port Lavaca was recovered from the ship channel in Port Aransas Tuesday. Police say Lynna Kane was driving a vehicle with a 54-year-old man in the passenger seat. Authorities got a call for a reckless driver around 8:25 Monday night.
When police arrived, they determined the vehicle went into the water. That vehicle was recovered Tuesday morning at 9:15 a.m. and pulled from the water around 1 p.m. It was 28 feet below the surface. Now in Victoria, authorities arrested an 18-year-old suspect Tuesday. Zachary Gonzalez faces 4 charges, including theft of a firearm, engaging in organized criminal activity, and unlawful carrying of a weapon. Gonzalez is also a suspect in a shooting in Bloomington from last fall. He remains in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of a $35,000 bond. Jeff Bouknight and AJ Louderback stopped in Goliad Tuesday evening to discuss their upcoming race for District 30.
25 News Now reporter Adarius McCormick continues to follow the candidates in this race. Adarius, what's the latest with District 30?
The race started with 4 candidates. Now District 3 is down to Jeff Bouknight and AJ Louderback. In Goliad, the two discussed several topics from Republican values to their opinions of the Biden administration. Jeff Bouknight and AJ Louderback agreed a strong Republican stance is needed for this position. They discussed their political experience and their plans if elected. We spoke with each of the candidates back in February. Bouknight said, despite what others say, he is a strong Republican, while later Louderback said he's no stranger in the House, so he'll make swift changes.
I just want people to realize that I am conservative, I'm Christian. I'm not going to wear it on my sleeve all the time, but that's the basis of my values and where I make my decisions.
Well, I'm a known entity there. I wouldn't go into the Texas House being an unknown part. So I believe I'll have some immediate influence and some immediate impact.
However, neither of the two are strangers to politics. Louderback has extensive experience in law enforcement and endorsements from Attorney General Ken Paxton and former District 30 candidate Vanessa Hicks Callaway. Bouknight served as Victoria's mayor and city councilman with endorsements from Governor Greg Abbott and current District 30 Representative Jeannie Morrison. The two will go head-to-head for District 30 in the May 28th election. The winner will face the Democrat candidate Stephanie Basham in November. She was in the building and said she looks forward to November. Back to y'all at the desk.
Adarius, thank you. Victoria ISD Superintendent Dr. Quentin Shepard discussed the state of the district this morning. Shepard says enrollment in the district's AP courses, dual enrollment in Victoria College, and industry certification programs are at the highest they've ever been. Last week, he announced he is leaving his position as superintendent. Shepard credits community support for the strides the district has made despite some challenges.
I came in right after Hurricane Harvey and watched a community pull itself together and tackle some very difficult decisions. And right as we were starting to get our feet under us and ready to hit the sprint line, we were hit with COVID. And I found a community that came back together and showed that same resilience that I saw when I first got here. And it is because of that resilience we've had the success that we've had, and it has truly been my honor.
Shepard accepted the position as superintendent at Pflugerville ISD. And now, pausing on the news real quick, let's take a look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Bittis. Did the rain wake you up last night, or was that just me?
It's like 1:45, 2 o'clock. And I wonder, Mac, were you here going live about that time?
You betcha. We stuck it out till about 3 or 4 in the morning and saw the storms come and go. And now they're gone. It's looking really nice out there. Of course, we had a lot of thunder and rumble. We had all kinds of hail problems. But in a moment, I'm going to show you a map that shows you just how lucky you are in terms of the severe weather last night. We'll have all that coming up in just a moment. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. U.S. Representative District 27 Michael Cloud today voted against a House rule for consideration of a bill that would extend authority for federal agencies to spy on American citizens without a warrant. In a statement, Congressman Cloud said, quote, "This is a red line for me and should not be a partisan issue. If you need to surveil someone, get a warrant," unquote. The rule failed, which means FISA reauthorization is stalled for now.
We now head to Arizona, where they are on the verge of enforcing one of the strictest abortion bans in the country after the state Supreme Court upheld an 1864 law.
That law criminalizes the procedure except those to save the mother's life. Former President Trump now reacting, saying he believes justices went too far.
The Arizona Supreme Court reinstating a near-total abortion ban, sending shockwaves across the nation. The justices reverting back to an 1864 law from the Civil War era before women could vote, before Arizona was even a state, to forbid all abortions except to save the mother's life. President Biden denouncing the ruling with a message to voters.
Elect me. I'm in the 20th century, 21st century, not back then.
Former President Trump, after saying earlier this week that abortion laws should be left up to each individual state, reacting today that the court has overstepped.
Mr. President, did Arizona go too far?
Yeah, they did, and that'll be straightened out. And as you know, it's all about states' rights. That'll be straightened out. And I'm sure that the governor and everybody else are going to bring it back into reason.
Other Republicans also unexpectedly quick to rebuke the ruling. Notably, GOP Senate candidate Kari Lake, who supported near-total abortion bans just 2 years ago, calling the ruling out of step with Arizonans. This issue a growing force in the 2024 election. Arizonans and others in more than a dozen states may be voting on abortion this fall. Previously, in 6 states where the issue was on the ballot, voters overwhelmingly supported abortion rights, even in conservative states.
We could well see real impact both on abortion access in a lot of states, but also on the outcomes in these elections based on abortion as a really critical issue coming up in November.
Experts say due to legal delays, the 1864 law won't go into effect for several weeks. Meanwhile, Vice President Harris will be in Arizona Friday to keep a spotlight on reproductive rights. Em Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed a letter with the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit detailing new and important facts in the ongoing border razor wire case. Paxton urges the court to resolve the case in a speedy process. The district court found that the three drowning deaths that occurred in the Rio Grande near Eagle Pass January 12th occurred before the federal government contacted the Texas National Guard, or DPS. That goes against the claim that Texas interfered with any rescue efforts.
The National Transportation Safety Board still investigating the site of the Key Bridge collapse in Baltimore. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy provided an update this morning during a Senate Commerce Committee hearing to reconfirm her appointment. Homendy told the committee that the preliminary report won't be available until May, that the probe is currently focused on why the cargo ship lost power before it hit the bridge. Texas Senator Ted Cruz, the top Republican on the committee, says the federal government should pay for the reconstruction of the bridge without delays.
The bridge's reconstruction shouldn't be delayed another day or subjected to policy riders that raise costs to satisfy favored Democrat constituencies.
President Biden has pledged his administration's full support to rebuild the bridge.
Meanwhile, a group of Maryland civil rights organizations want to rename the Baltimore Francis Scott Key Bridge after reports of Key's racist upbringing. On Monday, one organization passed a resolution urging state lawmakers to rename the bridge, noting how taxpayer dollars are being used to rebuild the bridge and they should not, quote, subsidize racism, unquote. They want the bridge renamed after the late Farron Mitchell, the first black person to represent Maryland in the House of Representatives. Bringing us to your poll. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen to vote. The question is, do you think the Baltimore Bridge should be renamed? According to our results, it looks like 86% stand at no and the remaining 14% stand at yes. We want to hear your opinion. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 10.
Shannon Henson was appointed Cuero District 1 City Council member Tuesday. Henson will fill the remaining term left by Greg Freeman. Henson was picked over several applicants for the council seat. At the March 11th Cuero City Council meeting, the council accepted Freeman's resignation.
Here's some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. Point Comfort is helping residents remove unwanted or unneeded items for their yearly community cleanup event until April 15th. Plus, the Harbor Children's Alliance and Victim Center recognized Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month last Saturday with their annual Celebrate the Child picnic. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. Stay with us. Donald Trump files another appeal. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, an update on Trump's hush money trial.
Also ahead, if you feel like your grocery bills are through the roof, you are not alone. What economists have to say next.
This is breaking news from 25 News Now.
Breaking news this evening, we are getting word that a pedestrian was hit this afternoon at the corner of San Antonio Street and Laurent Avenue. We are getting word that that person has been transferred to the hospital with minor injuries. Once again, a pedestrian was hit at the corner of San Antonio Streets and Laurent Streets this afternoon and has been transferred to the hospital with minor injuries. More coming on our website, crossroadstoday.com.
Lawyers for Donald Trump filed another emergency appeal to stop the hush money trial from starting Monday. Trump's defense team wants to put that trial on hold so they can appeal a lower court's ruling on presidential immunity. In that filing, Trump's lawyers allege the court exceeded its authority in those rulings. A hearing in front of the appeals court was set for Wednesday afternoon. At this point, the Manhattan criminal case is expected to move forward come April 15th.
The drawn-out battle between American consumers and higher prices saw another setback last month.
A key government index says price increases picked up again in March, driven up by two essential areas.
U.S. consumers continue to feel the squeeze of higher prices for essentials like gas and shelter. The Bureau of Labor Statistics said Wednesday that the Consumer Price Index increased at a year-over-year rate of 3.5% in March, the reading the highest annual gain in the last 6 months.
This has definitely been a setback. This is not good news. It doesn't necessarily mean that the Fed or anyone else should give up the fight against inflation.
Overall grocery prices stayed flat month to month, but they're up 1.2% from a year ago.
I think consumers continue to feel the pinch. I think consumers continue to compare prices to sort of pre-COVID or 2 or 3 years ago.
Purdue University professor of agricultural economics Joe Balagtas says that comparison, in addition to increased costs in other areas, could shade how consumers feel about their grocery tabs.
The things that we pay for outside of the grocery store also affect the money we have left to spend on groceries, right? So if we have to spend more on gasoline, if our auto insurance becomes more expensive, if our housing becomes more expensive.
Gas prices ticked up 1.7% from February to March, and the cost of auto insurance was up 2.6% last month, up a whopping 22% from 1 year ago. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Here's a look at some of the top headlines you can find in the Cuero Record. The Miss Cuero pageant deadline is coming up, set for April 13th. Forms are accepted at Classy B's on Main Street in downtown Cuero. Plus, residents in Cuero are asking for a higher priority on road repairs. Read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com. An animal shelter in East Texas is desperate for fosters.
That's because heavy rains caused the Daniel Kent County Roads Rescue in Jacksonville to flood Tuesday. That left some dogs standing in water in their kennels. Rescue workers say all the dogs are okay. Some of the incoming water is contaminated. The water has receded for now, but more rain is expected. The shelter says even if people can only foster a dog for a night, it would be helpful.
Yes, that's part of the storm that came through last night. We were very lucky. I'll show you about that in a moment. Right now, we're at 73 with that northwest wind blowing at 16 to 20 miles an hour. We got up to 76. It was a little chilly this morning with that northwest wind. Average temperature should be about 80 degrees. And how much rain did we get? Well, 6,700s out at the airport. That brings us to the month for 6,700s and our year since January to 1334. We'll take a look at more of who got affected by that storm last night coming up in just a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. A lot of huffing and puffing last night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Some of you got shaken by that, I'm sure. But we told you it was coming. We were talking about it all day long. At Riverside Park, we got a Coco Ross total at, let's see, 7,700. So Raisin got almost an inch, Cuero got over an inch, and El Campo got 2.5 inches. Now, the flooding in Houston, you got to think about this for a moment. Think about this. 3 inches of rain in Houston is going to cause flooding. Why? Asphalt, concrete, pavement, impermeable cover. So that's where Houston is headed into the future, that even 2 and 3 inches of rain is going to give them that kind of problem. And so they had quite a bit of flooding with those 3 inches of rain. This is stormy Wichita Falls last night. That is some of the most intense lighting I've seen in a while. I mean, that really... Look at that. Wow. All of this. They had some snow in the Panhandle this morning after that whole storm moved away and brought that cooler air. It was certainly a beast of a storm. Now for us, cleared up very nicely, just like we expected. And today with that northwest wind, it's just delightful. Lots of sunshine for tonight, clear and cool. And tomorrow it'll be a very nice day, or anything you have planned outdoors, because our storm is finally gone. There you see it sort of winding up into Arkansas and Louisiana. The real nasty stuff is out here ahead of it, crossing across the Florida Panhandle right about now. Here's the radar loop, and these counties in red are under red flag warnings for high fire danger, because as that wind blows down, it's going to get drier and drier and drier, and it's still a little windy out there. Anything that looks like a fire is going to be a problem. But you can see the last of the Mohicans here sort of raining itself out as it rolls in, and of course the big stuff is right there ahead of it. Now we're here in the Crossroads, looking good. Look at that. No advisories for us, although the red flag warning is for many areas to the south. And now this is what I was talking about. Every one of these dots is a report of a severe storm, storm report. You know, whether it's hail, lightning, wind damage, anything like that. So I'm going to zoom in, and there's a Crossroads. Look at that. Austin, San Antonio, and west, they got hail all the way down to Poteet. We had high winds reported along the coast as the storms moved offshore. We had hail, flooding, and storms over here. Not bad, huh? Got a whole inch of rain out of this and no significant problems. I know there were some branches down, some trash cans got blown away, but all things considered, we got the better end of the deal. The storm is right here. It continues rolling eastward. As a matter of fact, by tomorrow, it'll roll way up there into the northeast. High pressure is building in and going to give us a couple of very nice days. As a matter of fact, we're going to be on the good side of this for about 2-3 days, and it's not till the weekend when the warm Gulf air and the humidity rolls back in. So tomorrow, gorgeous day, lots of sun for those of you in Port Lavaca, sunny day in Cuero with that northwest wind getting you to 80 degrees. And as we get to the weekend, Saturday looks great, just in time for the big party downtown celebrating Victoria's 200th birthday. Celebration of the new De Leon Plaza down there in the downtown area. That's your 7-day forecast. We have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads today, and I could have sent you beeps and tweets and what is it, all that stuff we send? Tweets and a beeps and a...
Push alerts and all that jazz.
And a blurb and a blurt, yes. I was doing that all night.
Alrighty, well thank you, Mac. And now let's take it over to sports.
What was he talking about there?
He kind of lost me a little bit there. Sports and bleeps and tweets, and I understood what he was saying.
Zach has some exciting news.
Yeah, let's go to Zach. Let's toss it over to him.
Yeah, we got some very exciting news. He used to rock the mound over at Riverside, and he's making his major league debut tonight with the Astros. I'll have that in sports. What a day for the Astros, who have their top pitching prospect making his major league debut tonight. And that pitcher is Spencer Arrighetti, who pitched for the Victoria Generals back in 2019. The Generals, no strangers to having players drafted to the majors. Arrighetti was drafted by Houston in 2021 and has since become their top pitching prospect. Generals GM Mike Yoakum remembers when he first heard about the Houston area kid. Now he's excited to see what the former General can do in a Houston Astro uniform.
My cousin played minor league baseball, and he does some instruction in the Houston area, and he reached out to me and says, hey, I think this guy will do really well for you, Spencer. He throws hard, great kid. I think he could really help you guys win. So we got him out here, I think it was at the end of June of the 2019 season, and he finished the season with us and was very successful with us. Just really wish Spencer the best. Great kid. It's a great opportunity for him, and we hope that he does well and is able to stick around. We chase down host families to house these young men, and whenever we've got one that makes their major league debut, it's really special for us. And the fact that Spencer is making his debut with the Houston Astros, which is basically the hometown team here in Victoria, is extremely awesome.
Like Mike Yoakum said, host families are key to making all this possible. They're having a tough time finding enough families right now, and maybe you can host the next major leaguer in your home. You can contact the Generals either through Facebook Messenger or their front office at 361-485-9522. And staying at Riverside Stadium, the West Warriors with a huge game tonight as their push for the postseason continues. Zone crossover action tonight as they play host to Corpus Christi King. West just on the outside looking in for the postseason, and King, according to Max Preps, has one more win than West, and this is the only time these two will meet this year. Corpus Christi King currently leading 2-0 in the bottom of the first inning. That is it for your sports. Donna Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Zach. We're back in a moment. First responders say a Florida man's heart stopped for more than 5 minutes, and his survival is a miracle.
Finally tonight, an unconscious man rescued from the ocean of Florida made an amazing recovery. First responders say his heart stopped for more than 5 minutes. 21-year-old Felipe de Souza got caught in a riptide. 2 boogie boarders pulled him out of the water. A lifeguard reached them and started CPR while he was still on the boogie board. The fire department then still had to get his pulse back. They say he had lost his pulse for like 6 to 7 minutes. Authorities say it was a miracle the man lived, and he did.
Yeah,
wow.
The 8-minute mark that's
right.
it.
Yeah. And those riptides are scary.
Oh, yeah.
They are scary.
If you don't know how to go parallel to the surf, you bet.
So what's the weather over the night?
Well, I'll tell you, overnight, all that storminess is long gone, folks. We're looking for very nice weather tomorrow. North winds will keep us on the dry side. No humidity, very pleasant. Enjoy it. In fact, the weather is going to be really good all the way into the weekend, because I know a lot of you and a lot of us here at the station are volunteering for the day of caring for keeping Victoria beautiful.
Thank you, Mac. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you tonight at 10.